So I met this woman, 34 at the time, call her Jess, when I was 28. My brother Kurt, 24, also worked with us. He's a married man at this point. Her and I started sleeping with each other with no real crazy strings attached, but certain agreements nonetheless. If you're sleeping with other people, let me know, etc. Including a rule that she made, stating she'd never sleep with my brother. Well, a few months pass, and it's my birthday, so I threw a party at my house. Weirdly, Jess, my brother, and my brother's wife didn't show up and didn't answer any of my messages. Wouldn't you know it, Kurt was cheating on his wife with Jess. Not only did this create a tumultuous relationship with my brother, but I had to uproot my work environment for a new place, new friends. Jess lied and told people we never did anything together, so they thought I was the jerk. Then my parents got involved and begged me, knowing what he did, to allow him to stay with me after his wife threw him out. Then Jess and Kurt get married, so now she's my sister-in-law. In the 4+ years, she's never apologized. Kurt isn't the greatest there either. They have also never even attempted to be an aunt or uncle to their only nephew. In 4+ years, I think they bought him one present, maybe two. They've never asked to visit, planned a day with him, or even FaceTime to say hi in 4 years. Now, she sends me an email out of the blue, only after I've been saying for years how bat-crap insane this all is, to apologize to me. She didn't even spell my wife's name right in the email, nor acknowledge her lack of, or even attempting to act like an aunt or a family member. And I'm 100% certain her parents and family don't actually know the real story. And they've reached out to invite me to places, including ruining our family's Christmas with my parents by flying in, and my parents even chose to go over there, instead of being with their only grandson. Am I the a-hole for not supporting their marriage, attempts to have children, or general want for them to be around as a family, in a way that could directly affect my family's life? Somebody, somewhere, put pressure on your former lover to apologize to you, and she did do poorly. You don't have to know or care who is pulling the strings. My guess is that they want something, but I'm a suspicious person. Just because we are offered an apology doesn't mean we have to accept it. You would be a saint if you did. Are you a saint? You know you don't have to be. Not the a-hole. I'm sure your life is rich and full, even without your brother and his second wife in it. Not the a-hole. To me, cheating with your sibling's significant other is a loud and clear, I don't care to keep you in my life anymore declaration. If my sister did that, I'd accept her for who she is and say message received and registered, all the best, and honor her life choices by never speaking to her again. Another tact you could take, ask if she's making amends by correcting prior lies she spread about you and being honest about her actions. If the answer is anything other than a clear and full yes, say what you want to support her journey in living a better life, but playing along with her lies will only enable her to further hurt herself and others. So you'll wait till she's ready to begin an honest life. Then, wait. Not the a-hole. And for what it's worth, for anyone reading this, if you're hooking up with someone and she says to you out loud, I've got a rule that I've made for myself, that I'll never sleep with your brother. You stop hooking up with that person because that is an insane thing to say. I got married last year. I wasn't sure I wanted my mom to speak, due to our strained relationship. I ultimately let her, hoping she would just deliver the same fluff about gaining a son that she did at my sister's wedding. Of course, my sister told me only after the events of this post that she pre-approved that speech. Highlights. I'm happy bride found someone that's not into looks, because I don't know how she would have afforded plastic surgery otherwise. She has gone under the knife many times and has made comments about my weight and appearance since I was young. I hope groom is comfortable in a crappy apartment, because bride can never afford better. I work an office job with a comfortable salary. My husband and I are in a small home by preference, not cost constraints. Good for groom for putting up with bride's gross medical issues. Bet he wouldn't have been interested if she had been diagnosed before they got together. She then went on to describe gory, personal details of my chronic illness diagnosed a year prior. Each time she paused to let a joke land, there was silence. My husband and wedding party stared at me, frozen, waiting for my cue on how to react. They stayed seated until her bit about how I am damaged goods, referring to a time when I was 19. I had a bad date and the guy harassed me for over a year after. It seriously impacted my mental health and I dropped out of college. It is painful to think or talk about. A groomsman yanked the microphone away. My husband pulled me out to the patio. The wedding party asked the band to start the music and brought us a round of drinks. The rest of my fabulous guests pretended the entire wedding party was not doing shots and passing J's on the other side of the glass doors, and they took the initiative to get the party going. I got to enjoy the reception I had planned and paid for. I didn't see my mom once. I found out the next day that the groomsmen had not only stopped her speech, they made her leave. They didn't tell me because I would be too worried about the fallout to enjoy the party, and I had already declared that I would avoid her all night. I haven't heard the end of it since. My mom says I humiliated her. My family says that I should have just prepared myself because I know how she is. They say I was wrong to deprive a mother of her daughter's wedding. At first, I was certain that her leaving was justified. Now, I feel like I should have expected the speech and warned the wedding party early to grin and bear it. It's caused drama that could have been avoided if I just let my mom do her thing. I could have just stopped the speech, but let her stay. On the other hand, if my husband's dad had delivered a similar speech, I would have dragged him out myself. So I really don't know and come to strangers of Reddit, ready to accept my judgment. Am I the a-hole for letting my mom get kicked out of my wedding when she was just being herself? Not the a-hole. If your mom was just being herself, then she might need a few harsh lessons about how to behave in society. Not the a-hole. You humiliated her? I don't think so. It's one thing to crack bad jokes, but that's something for friends to do, not your mom. And those weren't jokes. Those were nasty personal attacks. Not the a-hole in general. This is a pretty awful thing to have happened. People who misbehave as badly as she did at a social event deserve to get thrown out. Your sister is mildly the a-hole for not cluing you in on how she managed the situation. Your mother is absolutely the a-hole for misbehaving. Your groomsmen are heroes for throwing her out, and she deserves no sympathy. But why did you let her speak in the first place? I'm not victim blaming here, but you need to look at why you made that bad decision. Did you think that speaking at your wedding would change her from the person she is into the mother you want and need? I'm afraid that is never going to happen, and you should calibrate the extent to which you remain in contact with her with the knowledge that she is and always will be the a-hole. And if you give her an inch, she will take a mile, so don't give her anything. I had my eldest daughter at 16 with my high school girlfriend who was 19. I wanted to have a family, and yes, I was really dumb. We got married really young, but we got divorced because I found out she was sleeping with another man who was much older. He had the money. I was not financially secure. She got custody, and I got visitation. This continued for a while, but he had the money to pamper my daughter, and my finances were not that great. By the time she was 14, I don't know what happened, but my daughter opted for optional visitation. It simply meant that I could only see her if she wanted to see me. That never happened. Around that time, I was just starting to do well for myself and decided to move away because I could no longer take it. I had to accept the fact that she didn't want to see me. I tried to contact my ex for information and pictures, but I was simply told that I was infringing on their privacy. Eventually, I gave up and I moved on. I just understood that I had to be financially strong. I concentrated on my real estate business, and I did really well for myself. It's been years now, and I'm really happy. I own a very successful real estate firm, and I'm married now with a daughter. I owe everything to my wife and my best friend, who were really supportive. When my eldest daughter was starting college, my ex contacted me and told me that she was divorced. She asked me if I would help with my daughter's college expenses. I gladly helped because I no longer had any financial woes. I also gave her a graduation present, a lump sum to get her started. So she surprised me with a party yesterday, and she was there. She's 25 now. 25. We had a chat. She apparently missed me so much. She was sorry and she never knew that the money came from me. I called BS on that. I told her it was not an attempt to reconcile, and I was only doing my duty and walked out. Wife tells me that my daughter deserved a chance, and I had to take the high road. But it's just too much for me. It's beyond repair and serves no purpose. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. Someone messaged me asking to mention when my daughter graduated. She graduated when she was 22. Edit 2. This is not about my daughter wanting money from me, and I personally don't think that she's only doing this because I'm well off now, because my firm is well known where I live, and it's not a secret she just stumbled upon. It's just that I've missed her entire childhood. What is there to do now? I have no memories with my daughter, and I don't know if it changes much now. Edit 3. Party was Father's Day stuff with family. You're the a-hole, obviously. I can't imagine seeing your own child trying to engage in a relationship and you refusing because you're just a bitter person. It's not too late, except for the fact you have decided it is. Not the a-hole. She had years to decide to talk to you. Yes, she opted for optional visitation at 14, but she could have decided to visit you at 15 or 16 or 17 or 18, and she never wanted to. You don't have to mend the bridge if you don't want to. You're the a-hole. You're punishing your daughter for not wanting to see you as a teenager? Her mom sounds like a nasty piece of work for cheating on you. She probably fed your daughter a bunch of BS about you, which made your daughter not want to see you. And I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't tell your daughter about the origin of the money. The party seems like it was your daughter's way of trying to reconcile with you, and you just threw it in her face. That's really ducked up. I'm actually having a joint wedding with my cousin Elle. We're best friends. We thought it would be nice to have 2 weddings out of the way rather than dragging our mutual family out of state twice in a short period of time, since we don't live close to extended family outside of each other's immediate family. So here's the deal. I've had a stepmom since I was 2 or 3. She met me a little earlier, but I was around that age when my dad married her. He and my mom were not long divorced when this happened. I got along well with her, but I knew there was tension between her, my dad, and my mom. Because she was good to me and our relationship was good, when I was about 9 or 10, I had asked my mom if we could invite them over for Christmas, since my stepmom had lost 2 members of her family that year. My mom told me that wasn't going to happen. I was sad. Mom felt bad. So we sat down and she told me that sometimes it's better when adults keep a distance from each other, because fighting can happen. I asked what they could be fighting about because both were good people. My mom told me that my stepmom had gone against the court order they had for me and had attempted to take her place as my mother on paperwork. She told me how she hadn't liked it and how dangerous it could have been if something were to happen and they didn't tell her. I asked her if that had hurt her feelings. She told me it had worried her and that she was telling me that so I would understand that people could be good to one person, but not to someone else, and that we should never push for relationships when someone treats us bad. This conversation did change my perception of my stepmom. I didn't like that she had done that to my mom. It happened multiple times from what I now know. She signed me up for a pediatrician behind mom's back, and dad knew, listing herself and dad as my parents. She signed me up for dance without giving any of my mom's details. She tried signing me up for school as her and my dad as my parents too, even trying to push for a private school. Then she went to my school when I was graduating and tried to override my ticket allocation for just her and my dad. I only found out about it because I was asked about it by the vice principal. My stepmom and dad never found out I knew, but mom was furious. Because of all this, I've not planned to include her in my wedding planning, which I've been doing with my mom, future mother-in-law, and my aunt and Elle's future mother-in-law. Stepmom was upset when she learned we were all taking part and told me she wanted to be involved because I'm the only kid she ever had. I told her I knew what she had done before, that I know how she treated my mom, and the only way she could get to be involved is if she could genuinely apologize to my mom, and I would include her in something. They were so mad at my mom for telling me. They said I was an a-hole for making her inclusion conditional when she is just as much my mom as my mom is. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Overriding the graduation ticket allocation was one you knew about directly. Remember, these things were harmful to you as well as to your mother. However great your stepmother was in other areas, she has done really crappy things and doesn't have any right to push for this. Protect yourself, protect your mom, and absolutely keep that condition. Honestly, I wouldn't let her be involved no matter what. Just as some things truly can't be undone, some consequences exist. Not the a-hole. Her claiming she is just as much your mom as your mom sealed it for me. She isn't your mom. She tried to illegally remove your mom from major things in your life. She is lucky your mom didn't press charges. She isn't going to apologize because she doesn't see that she did anything wrong. Don't include her and move on with your planning. Not the a-hole. I don't advocate for telling children private matters, but you were going to find out sooner or later from the looks of it. She is not just as much your mom, and from your post, it's pretty clear you don't think that she is either. Don't involve her at all unless you want her involved. No apology from her would be sincere, so the apology isn't really for your mom's benefit. I am 22 male, and my brother is 18 male. My parents are 56 female and 55 male. My childhood growing up was quite terrible in a number of ways. My brother was the golden child, and I was the scapegoat for everything he did. They never bought me anything I liked, but spoiled my brother with whatever he wanted. Anytime something was wrong, they blamed it on me and punished me. I was never allowed to go out without supervision, but my brother could do anything he wanted. And if I complained, I was shut down. It led to a lot of resentment for my parents and my brother, who ended up growing into one of the most entitled brats around. I hate him with my guts, and I honestly have a better relationship with my pet ducking birds than I do with him. At least that's what I heard. I moved out shortly after I turned 18, and I haven't had contact with my parents since. Any info I get is from family members who visit. I'm honestly really happy that my parents' crappy parenting is being reflected back on them now. Their calls and texts were ignored until today. After a long period of silence, they texted me about how they were really sorry for the pain they caused me and wanted to reconcile. The text was pretty long and detailed, and they honestly seemed genuine about it. So I said okay. But I also said that they are not to bring my brother under any circumstances, or I won't attend. Today, I drove about an hour south to meet up where they were, and that's when I saw them through the window, and they had invited my brother. To say I was beyond pissed would be an understatement. I just left and went to eat somewhere else. I texted them and said that they did the very thing I told them not to, and they aren't sorry at all, and for them to never contact me again, and blocked their numbers. Now I've been on the receiving end of calls and texts from other family members, passing along the messages that the reason why my parents invited him was because they wanted him to apologize to me as well, and come to some kind of a solution going forward, and that they'd be willing to do anything to make it up to me. Now I feel bad for not giving them a chance and just rolling with it. But at the same time, I can't look my brother in the eye because he reminds me of all the pain I've went through and how I'm going to need years of therapy to heal. So who's in the wrong here? Not the a-hole. They did precisely what you asked them not to do. It isn't his fault they chose to put him on a pedestal, and it's not your fault they chose to scapegoat you. Your parents chose to instigate this dynamic, and their first responsibility is to apologize and make amends with you for what they did. An apology from your brother can come a whole lot later, or never. It is still your choice if you don't want anything to do with him. Your parents wanted to rug sweep, not apologize for a lifetime of mistreating you. They disrespected you again. Don't feel bad. If they are serious about doing things the right way, and you would like to give them a third chance, they can meet you at a restaurant of your choosing. So it's truly neutral, and not invite your brother. Not the a-hole. If they were really interested in making amends, they would have listened to you and your wishes. They are trying to sweep it all under the rug and carry on. Keep blocking them, and keep living your best life. You deserve it. Not the a-hole. And I have to wonder, with your brother turning out as bad as your relatives have told you, I imagine that 1, he wouldn't actually be apologizing, or at least not sincerely, and 2, your parents are hoping to pawn him off on you somehow, so they don't have to deal with the monster they created anymore. OP, have you found success since you left them? Could they be looking to take advantage of you in some way? I mean, other than the narcissistic manipulation that was your whole life with them. I just find it peculiar they reached out after such a long silence, preaching their remorse, and then their actions immediately being the exact opposite of that. It's all super suspicious.